Bienvenidos, worldwide fans of our planet's hottest entertainment with an edge. Jaime En Fuego here, welcoming you once again to my namesake program, Enfuegotainment. That's right, and this is a Fresca Fuego review for a film that just recently saw a VOD and home release, so you can pick it up at like a Redbox, or you can just, if you're scared of leaving your home, you can just directly stream it on, pretty much all of your standard spots there. And this is Ant Timpson's directorial debut, and I have been such a fan of this crazy bloke for so goddamn long. I mean, he's a New Zealander, so of course I'm gonna be very intrigued at what he would be behind, because I mean, Taika, Jermaine and Brits, the Concords and such, and but I mean, seriously, back to Peter Jackson, I have just loved the quirky sensibilities of so much filmmaking, going all the way back to Bad Taste and, Brain Dead, Dead Alive, whatever the hell you want to call it. And so, I mean, yeah, Timpson's stuff is an interesting track record as a producer. So he founded the 48-Hour Film Challenge, but beyond that, he is behind the ABC's Death series, which is all of these different little short horror films, each one corresponding with a letter of the alphabet. He also produced a few of my favorite genre films of the last decade or so. I mean, we're talking Turbo Kid, we're talking Deathgasm, we're talking the slimiest of the slimy, the Greasy Strangler, but this is his directorial debut, which is intriguing. And so yeah, finally actually getting behind the camera as a director, and it is for this violent comedic thriller of just bonkers weirdness. So he had this idea for the script, and then he asked the same guy who co-wrote with Jim Hoskins, the director of Greasy Strangler, to actually script it. And so you have Come to Daddy. Who is your daddy and what does he do? I don't know, I haven't seen him since I was like 5 years old, but he keeps sending us money, so everything seems okay. So Elijah Wood, Little Frodo, is playing this wormy, kind of gothy guy. He starts out the film wearing one of those hats that's kind of like the little kid from Children of the Corn that all of the gothies are really into lately. It's essentially like if you see a girl wearing a black, rounded, pseudo kind of witch kind of farmer hat like this, it's like the current goth equivalent of like a flippin' trucker hat on a chick. And Frodo is wearing it at the beginning of this movie as he is getting off the bus, and he is on foot on this journey. He's walking down the beach and everything. Looks to me, at least based on scenery, that he's somewhere in the Northwest. I'm guessing Northern California, but it could be somewhere in Oregon or whatever. But there is mention of LA at various times, so that's where you presume he is on his way from. And he is going to visit his father that he hasn't seen since he was a little kid. So he has memories, vague ones and stuff, but he does remember his father to a degree. And so, yeah, hasn't seen him in ages, probably 30 years, more or less, from the age of our character. And he's going to visit his pops because of the fact that he got this mysterious letter. And the mysterious letter is the crux of just why he's there. And so he shows up, and as you see in the trailers, so I'm trying not to spoil this movie, because this movie goes from being one thing to kind of being there's interesting twists and turns, and the third act is especially bonkers, I must say, and you do get some flavor of that in the trailer, so that's not me spoiling anything. And I will admit that it ends up packing an emotional punch that I was not expecting. But yeah, so Frodo shows up to meet father, and doesn't look like he's aged very well, that's for sure, and he's a raging alcoholic, whereas, Elijah Wood's character is trying to stay off the sauce. He is trying to stay on the wagon. He is not often hitching a ride, to quote that Green Day song. Best Green Day song, by the way, even though I'm not a big Green Day fan. But yeah, so he shows up and he's trying to connect with said pops, and it's just not going down. He's very standoffish, not very accommodating and loving. And then something happens that I can't really divulge, but we get some tension. And then the tension builds throughout the second and the third act of this film, and you definitely get the Timpson sensibilities, that's for damn sure. It gets very violent at times, especially as some conflict, aforementioned conflict, goes down. This is where I'm walking on eggshells at this point, because some of the fun, actually no, a large deal of the fun of this film is the unexpected aspects of certain things that transpire. But performance-wise, Elijah Wood is great. I've been a big fan of his since I'm going all the way back to Radio Flyer, and when I saw him in theaters as Huck Finn, you know, and The Faculty he's great in. That is an underrated Robert Rodriguez sci-fi horror film. It's like kind of a spin on Invasion of the Body Snatchers for the Scream generation, if y'all have never seen that. Damn good movie. Frodo's great in it. And then, I mean, just, he has such an eccentric, interesting track record, especially lately with genre filmmaking. You know, he's been very supportive with, I believe his company is Spectre Vision. Saban Films were the ones who put this out. But, yeah, I mean, he loves this sort of quirky, kooky, comedic, violent, over-the-top, kind of gross at times silliness. And, I mean, don't come into this thinking it is anything of the flavor of, like, you know, Greasy Strangler, you know, for instance, which I adore, and if you can stomach it, it's like an X-rated Tim and Eric. It's damn good. But, I mean, it's more of the Timpson sensibilities that you've got some legitimate heart in Turbo Kid, despite the over-the-top violence and stuff like that, and that's what this film definitely gets to, is, I mean, Elijah Wood's character so desperately wants to connect. He's looking for a missing piece of his life, and he's not really getting it, at least initially when he gets there. And it's just interesting, very much so, where the film goes. And yeah, I recommend the hell of Come to Daddy. It was not what I expected it to be, which was, you know, a pleasant surprise. I knew it was going to be solid acting, and I knew if Timpson had an idea that he wanted to actually make a directorial debut with, that there was going to be something special here. And there truly is, despite some of the grime and the grossness that you eventually encounter in this film. It packs a punch. Yeah, it really does, especially some stuff that goes down in the third act. It was a very satisfying film, and I have to just make one reference to the use of the Aphex Twin song that we get at one particular point. I believe it's called Avril 14 is what it is. It's been used in a ton of stuff. It's a sweet little piano piece, and it brings me to tears every goddamn time I hear it. And for people who are familiar with Aphex Twin, like, I'm watching this with my lady, and she had never heard it before, and she's like tearing up, and so am I. And I'm just like, man, I've heard this and stuff before, but I just couldn't pinpoint it. But it is used to perfect effect in this film, in its placement. It just really, I mean, it gets you in the feels, just like it's supposed to. And yes, this was already reviewed on my other channel, The Horror Show, before I got the chance to see it. So if you guys want to migrate over there and check out Cecil, Laird, and I believe Marcia Parker's thoughts, youtube.com/The Horror Show channel. Way more subscribers over there than what you'll see here, but yes, this is an Enfuego film. I would give this a 4 fireballs out of 5, man. It is damn good. So while you're stuck in your quarantine, in your seclusion, you know, and this is a film about being secluded at this beautiful house and just some weird shit that goes down there. So it's got, you know, kind of a trapped-ish, bunkerish feel at times too, at least in, you know, maybe more so earlier in the film. But what a beautiful house they filmed this at too, man. It's a great looking film. Timpson directed it very well. I'm stoked to see what he does next. But yeah, I extend a grande gracias for anybody who's checking out this video. I have been Jaime En Fuego. Y'all can find moi on all social media sectors like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I mean, I've been haphazard with the social medias lately, because Twitter especially is just incredibly depressing, you know, and you know, because the world is very scary out there. And I mean, as I've been saying with a lot of films that are of the edgier variety lately and put characters in strange scenarios that are kind of scary at times and stuff like that, it's kind of nice to have an escape from the scariness of the real world and kind of a glass half full mentality, albeit this being all the way full with wine at one particular point. It's a really funny bit. But so yeah, I definitely recommend this one. It's a good one to check out at your home, as opposed to necessarily heading out and getting a physical copy from the Red Beesies or whatever. But yeah, social media for me, as I mentioned, check it out. Lots of other stuff here on this channel that I've reviewed already. Just recently did The Wave, upcoming reviews for Vivarium, and to throwback stuff like Brimstone, lots of Star Wars coverage. I mean, since I relaunched this channel about a year ago, I have just tried to make it like counter-programming in a lot of ways to the other YouTube channel that I mentioned, youtube.com/The Horror Show channel, where here I have less than a GZ of subscribers, and over there we have over 32,000. So that's the main gig, obviously, but I have lots of additional time to put into this channel right now, so hence the efforts. But once again, thanks so very much for all of you that have tuned in. Also on Monday evenings, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, on the Willis Greedia YouTube channel. That's where I guest on something called Show Business. Myself, Chauncey K. Robinson, and Lindsay Mimsey from My Two Cents of Nonsense, and then CP, who's the showrunner. That is his channel over on The Screeds. And yeah, we used to talk box office numbers. That's not a thing anymore, and who the hell knows when it will be. But we're still talking, you know, film and potential like movie delays and stuff. I mean, I don't know. Stuff like this is still coming out, and they're provided it's in the can already and not still in a filming or a post-production, because I know a lot of people are not even going forward with their post-production process because, I mean, they don't want people in these editing bays all close together. Maybe you can do some remote work and stuff, but lots of films can't even finish that are, you know, kind of in the can, so to speak. So, but yeah, if it's a finished product and it's ready to go out, there's still a lot of exciting filmmaking like this that is coming out. So, I have been Jaime En Fuego. Y'all can find moi, once again, as I said, all over the interwebs, and I extend that grande gracias until the Reel of Ka comes around once more. I shall say hasta luego, Cinemigos, and constant readers and viewers alike, but I'm hopeful that we get to share more of this film palaver sooner rather than later. Peace. Stay safe.